Your feet hit the floor before you're even fully awake. It's just muscle memory at this point, that automatic glance downward, that half second of expecting to feel something warm shift beside you or to hear the immediate click-click of tippy taps on hardwood, the tail already going, the nose already cold against your hand before your eyes even adjust to the light. But there's nothing. The food bowl is still in the same spot. You haven't moved it. You can't move it yet. The leash is hanging by the door like it's waiting for something. There's fur on the couch. There's always fur on the couch. And for one half-awake second, you almost call their name, and then it lands again, the way it lands every morning now. Heavy and specific and nothing like anyone described. Pause. Look at the floor briefly. Someone once told me you catch a scent too. Not strong, just faint. That warm, familiar smell, kind of like Fritos, that used to live in the folds of their paws. You'll find it on an old blanket or in the car, and your whole chest will do something you weren't prepared for at 7 in the morning. Everyone said it gets easier. We're going to talk about that. Here's what people say. They mean well. I want to be clear about that. They genuinely, truly mean well. But there is a specific playlist of phrases you start collecting after you lose a dog. It was just a dog. You can always get another one. At least they're not suffering anymore. You'll feel better soon. Short pause. Soft exhale. Right, sure. Try saying it was just a dog to someone whose Labrador performed full zoomies through the living room every single morning, left fur on every black item of clothing they owned, and had perfected the sad puppy eyes to an almost clinical level of manipulation. Try saying just a dog to that person. I'll wait. The phrases aren't cruel, they're just hollow. And when you're in the early days of this specific kind of grief, hollow lands hard. Here's the thing. The assumption underneath all of those phrases, the reason people say them, is that the grief will pass quickly because dogs are, animals, so the loss must be proportionately smaller and, actually, no. Stop. That framing isn't just emotionally wrong, it's scientifically wrong. And it has been wrong for a while now. Grief researchers have been studying pet loss specifically since the late 1980s, and the findings are not subtle. The loss of a dog activates the same neurological grief pathways as losing a close human relationship. Same regions of the brain, same hormonal disruption, same psychological weight. This isn't sentiment. This isn't just dog people being dramatic, and I say that as someone who is absolutely a dog person being a little dramatic right now. This is neuroscience finally catching up to what every dog owner already knew somewhere deep in their chest. Your brain processes social bonds through a system that genuinely does not distinguish between species. What it measures is relationship depth, daily proximity, emotional dependency. How present was this being in your life? How much of your nervous system got organized around them? Dr. Julie Axelrod's research on pet bereavement found something that surprised even grief researchers. The grief response following dog loss frequently exceeds the grief felt after losing human acquaintances, not because people are strange or confused about hierarchy, but because the dog was there, daily, unconditionally, without the complexity, the history, or the friction that human relationships carry. And here's the sensory layer of this that nobody talks about enough. Grief doesn't just live in your thoughts, it lives in your body's expectations. You hear a collar jingle on TV, a random sound, background noise, and your nervous system responds before your brain even processes what happened. Your body turns toward a sound that isn't there anymore. The body remembers. Sometimes the body remembers before the mind is ready to. Creator pauses, looks down, then back at camera. And then there's the guilt, which is its own particular kind of awful. The last day replayed, the moments you wish had gone differently, wishing you'd taken more walks, wishing you hadn't worked so many late nights, wondering if they knew, really knew, how much, said goodbye wrong or too fast or not enough times. Every dog owner I've ever talked to about this carries some version of that list. But here's what I've come to believe, and I want to say it carefully because I think it matters. I don't think most of us are grieving just the dog. I think we're grieving the version of ourselves that existed with them, the person who always had somewhere to be at the end of the day, the person who got greeted, genuinely, completely greeted every single time they walked through the door, no matter what kind of day it was. No matter what, you lose that too, and that loss is real, and it deserves to be named. Biologically, this is a withdrawal. That's not a metaphor. That's physiology. The oxytocin loop you built with your dog over years of eye contact, shared sleep, and physical touch doesn't just stop wanting to run. Cortisol rises. Sleep architecture shifts, particularly for anyone who co-slept, which, no judgment, that's most of us, because your body registers the physical absence as a disruption every single night. A 2016 study published in Society in Animals found that pet bereavement triggered clinically significant grief symptoms in over 85% of participants. Disrupted appetite, sleep loss, immune suppression. These aren't people being oversensitive. These are bodies responding to a real, measurable loss of biological rhythm. Your nervous system built an entire schedule around them. Feeding times, walk times, the specific warm weight on your feet at 3 a.m. When that stops, your body files the missing report before your mind is ready to. Archaeological evidence, actual physical evidence, shows that dogs were being buried alongside humans as far back as 14,000 years ago. Deliberate placement. Objects buried with them, what appears to be ceremony, before written language, before written history, before we had any of the frameworks we use now for understanding grief or love or loss. Humans were marking the death of their dogs as something worth marking. Quiet moment. We have been losing dogs and not knowing how to hold it for 14,000 years. The fact that it still breaks us, completely and specifically breaks us, isn't weakness. It's the oldest love story we have. It might be the first one. There's a term in psychology, disenfranchised grief. It refers to grief that society doesn't fully validate. Losses that are real but that the culture around you treats as smaller, or quicker, or less deserving of space. Pet loss is one of the most common forms of it. People take bereavement leave for human relatives. They don't take it for dogs. They're expected to recover faster, grieve quieter, move on in a timeline that makes everyone else more comfortable. Clinically, grief has no hierarchy. The brain does not issue a memo saying this loss counts less. Creator holds up open, empty hands. There's no half-chewed toy prop for this section. Some things don't need a visual. They just need someone to sit with them for a second. Brief silence. I rewrote this section 4 times. I kept making it too neat, too resolved, and it kept feeling false. Grief isn't neat, so I'm just going to say it plainly and let it sit there. Grief is not the opposite of love. Grief is love with nowhere left to go. Psychiatrist Colin Murray Parks, whose foundational research on bereavement shaped how we understand grief today, described this. The pain of loss is inseparable from the depth of the bond. You cannot have one without the other. The specific weight of losing your dog, the weight that woke you up this morning when your feet hit the floor, is a direct, precise measurement of what existed between you. That's not a consolation, that's just true. Gently, practically, honestly, some things help and some things don't. Rituals help. Telling stories out loud, saying their name, describing their scoot position, explaining to someone who never met them exactly how they used to boop you awake, helps. Not rushing any decision about another dog helps. Pretending to be fine does not help. Hold up a photo or gesture toward one off screen. If you have a photo of them somewhere, not on your phone, a real printed one, put it somewhere you can see it. You are allowed to keep them visible. You are allowed to keep them visible. You are allowed to take as long as you need. There is no schedule here. There is no correct timeline. Anyone who gives you one doesn't understand what they're measuring. Remember how I said everyone told you it gets easier? Here's the honest answer, the full circle one. Easier isn't quite the right word. Softer is closer. The silence, that specific physical silence from section 1, it stops being just an absence. Slowly, over time, it becomes a presence. The shape of everything they left inside you. You still check the floor before you put your feet down in the morning. You still hear them sometimes, in the house, in the quiet. You still reach, occasionally, for something that isn't there. Moment, pause. They change what home felt like. They changed the rhythm of ordinary days. And the truest thing I know how to tell you is that doesn't fully go away. But one day, you realize it isn't supposed to. That feeling isn't absence anymore. That feeling is them, still here, still right next to you in every room, in every quiet moment you gave them, and every one they gave you back. No music needed. Just that. If you lost a dog, recently, or years ago, or so long ago you haven't said their name out loud in a while, I want you to do one thing in the comments. Tell me about them, their name, their weird habit, their face, the thing they used to do that drove you a little crazy and that you would give anything to have back. Whatever you want, whatever feels right. This comment section is for them.